The Spur Corporation was founded by Alan Amble in Cape Town in 1967 and was listed on the JSE in 1986. Its main brands are Spur Steak Ranches, Panarottis and John Dory's, and it now has 30% of its operations outside of South Africa. Spur has a market cap of 2.2 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 17 and a dividend yield of 4%, and also has received some exponential movements recently in the share price.
Yeah, it popped up to around 22 Rand a share recently on results, and people thought it was due for a little bit of a re-rating. Yeah, but it's relatively conservative by comparison. As you pointed out there, it's been around a lot longer, so they were more cautious with regard to the store rollouts, partly because the traditional Spur model has a liquor license because they sell alcohol. So slower, bigger, more capital intensive, than a famous brands outlet where you just need a fryer and 4 walls.
And perhaps that's the key there. Capital intensive business, when you're competing with the likes of a famous brands and the nifty business model there, aren't you being a bit pedestrian?
Yes and no. Look, this it might sound like semantics, but in fact, this is in the category of what they call casual dining. Because in Spur, you actually go and you sit down and you eat. You don't just hop in there and get something in a packet and walk out again. I mean, you can do if you want to, but I mean, generally speaking.
So it's not going to be defensive in a tougher economic environment. People are going to opt for the McDonald's over a Spur.
I think that's probably right. Having said that, they have realised this and they have expanded their offerings in recent years. They've got Panarottis, they've got John Dory, and they've got Dorego now as well. So that kind of augments the existing Spur model, which has been remarkably resilient over the past 50-odd years.
Panarottis, it's not a very robust business, or am I jumping the gun on this? I haven't seen any Panarottis of late. There used to be one in Sandton City.
Those around the country. And look, but pizza is a strong and growing category. It's got great margins because it's relatively cheap and easy to manufacture, and almost anyone can do it.
But by the same token, it's highly competitive.
Sure.
Have you opted for a Panarottis pizza?
I haven't been in a Panarottis for a while.
Have you, Chris?
Nope, never been in one.
All right, well, that's just my on-the-ground survey.
But, as far as this model is concerned, I think the old sort of Hiawatha stick of the Spur, with the sort of American Indian thing, I thought was getting a little tired. Chris has described it as resilient. But, I suppose it does have the opportunity to go global, so they've taken them to places like Dubai and so on and so forth. And wherever South Africans are, I suppose they're going to go to the old famous South African family restaurant. I don't know, though. I think, for me anyway, the executive chairman, Alan Amble, Pierre Fontana, the CEO, I think they've done well recently, but it really does need to go big or go home.
Go big or go home on Spur, hot or not in your book?
It's a well-run business, but I don't think it's hot, no.
Not hot from Mr. Gilmour. From yourself?
Well, last time we talked about this about 2 or 3 months ago, the feeling generally was that we liked the category and that the stock was probably a little bit sleepy. But now, as you can see, it's powered up itself. It's still relatively cheap compared to its faster growing, much larger cousin famous brands now. I think the category is hot, so I'm going to give it the hot as well.